everyone, welcome to another Tuesday live cooking class. My name is Super Solis with the Family and Community Health Sciences Department for Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Somerset County. Today we are making a vegetable curry, and as you can hear, I'm already sauteing some onions just to expedite the process. It's a very simple recipe, but in the interest of time and in the interest of showing you the full process, I decided to get a little bit ahead of the game. So, for today's recipe, you will need some cooking oil. You can use coconut oil, you can use olive oil. I'm using olive oil here. You'll need about a tablespoon of this. You will need a medium onion, or you can use 1.5 medium onions, white preferably, white or yellow. I wouldn't use red. Red really wouldn't work here. And then whatever vegetables you really like. I recommend, if this is your first time making a vegetable curry, starting off with something like sweet potato or butternut squash or pumpkin, something like that. I'm using carrots as well. Cauliflower, you could use snap peas, you could throw in spinach, I've done mushrooms in a curry, which is untraditional, but vegetables that I had on hand. You could use broccoli. That's what you'll need in terms of your veggies. This is a coconut curry, so you'll definitely need some coconut. Traditionally, I think full-fat coconut milk is used. I'm using reduced fat just because I'm looking at the saturated fat content, and that's something that I like to be mindful of in my personal life. So, and especially if you're someone who consumes a lot of meat or eats a lot of coconuts or something like that, then saturated fat might be something you want to take a look at. So here we've got, in this, 6 grams of saturated fat per quarter cup. In regular coconut milk, it's about 11 grams. So a substantial amount of saturated fat has been reduced in this. What makes this a curry? Well, the spices. So for the spices, you can blend the spices if you have all of these spices together. I like to buy a curry powder because I make this often enough that I don't like having to measure out the coriander, the cumin, the other things that go in it, the turmeric. So I get a blend of this. You'll need about a tablespoon of this. And then I also like to use a little bit of Garam Masala just to change things up. You can find this at an Indian store, or I think this I actually found at Wegmans, and I just jarred it just to keep it fresh. And then to top, some coriander, or some cilantro, and some salt, of course. Oh, last couple of ingredients: some minced ginger and some minced garlic. Essential. I would not make a curry without these two things. Alright, so like I said, our onions are starting to brown. You'll want to saute them in about a tablespoon of olive oil until they are translucent, and maybe even a little bit of brown, getting a little bit of like caramelization going on there. Once that's done, I can toss in my sweet potatoes, right? These are diced, I've peeled them. Now this part's going to take a while because sweet potato, as we know, is very fibrous, and even though I chop them, it does take a while for the moisture to release from the sweet potato. So we're going to just wait for that to, looking for a lid. I'm just going to let that soften away. So while that's happening, I'll talk to you guys a little bit about National Nutrition Month. If you guys didn't know, March is National Nutrition Month. So every week there is a target, and every year for National Nutrition Month there is a theme. This year's theme is, I am forgetting this year's theme. Last year's theme was Bite by Bite, Eat Right, Bite by Bite. This year is, I think, Customizing Your Plate, Eating Your Way. I'll have to look that up again. But the messaging for this week is to eat a variety of nutritious foods every day. So that means including healthful foods from all food groups, which this recipe definitely helps achieve. Hydrating healthfully, learning how to read nutrition facts, panels, which we do a lot of that in a lot of in our webinar series. For example, in Love Your Heart series, I know I touched upon reading food labels. Jennifer did a great job of going over food labels when it comes to sugar, as did Daryl with sodium. Avoiding distractions while eating, so eating mindfully, and taking the time to enjoy your food. So again, not rushing through your food, not making it a chore, really enjoying your food. So let's see how our sweet potatoes are doing. They are cooking away here. Okay, so they're not as soft as I'd like them to be, but again, in the interest of time, we will get started with the rest of this. Once your sweet potatoes have been cooked for about 10 minutes, and like I said, even though I have an induction burner and things go cook quite quickly here, it's not exactly where I want it to be. That's fine. I'm going to add in my carrots. I'm going to add in my cauliflower. I'll give that a good mix. Sweat these guys out a little bit. Just be mindful of the heat. You'll want to turn it down a bit so as to not burn any of these things before they're cooked. And then I'm also using chickpeas. Using about a can of chickpeas for this. Oh, I should probably go over measurements. So you'll want 2 cups of sweet potato or butternut squash. 2 cups of sweet potato butternut squash, about half a cup or even up to a cup of carrots. What else do we have in here? We have sweet potato, carrots, 2 cups of cauliflower, or if you're using broccoli, and then a can of chickpeas. And you can also add in a protein if you really want to. You can add in chicken, tofu, it all works. Alright, so that is cooking away. Now at this point, I'll add in my coconut milk, right? So I've got a little bit here. And before you open up your coconut milk, you'll want to make sure that you give it a good shake. But even after you give it a good shake, you'll see that you'll have the solid separated from the liquid. So I try to put it into a container and give it a good shake. I've even thrown it into a food processor just to blend it. It's not super necessary with this recipe for it all to be like a homogeneous mixture. It's okay if it's a little bit chunky because it's all going to dissolve as it cooks anyway. Just adding in about a little bit more. And you'll generally use about a full can for this recipe. This recipe yields quite a bit. Right, so that's going to melt away. And then from here, I'll add in my spices. They are already measured out, using about a tablespoon of curry powder. That has all the spices that I'll need. So in here, I like this blend specifically. This is the one that I'm using. This has turmeric, coriander, fenugreek, cumin, orange peel, pepper, chili powder, cinnamon, fennel, ginger, star anise, thyme, bay leaves, cloves, nutmeg, sage, and cardamom. So I think this is a really great mixture. It's one of my favorite curry powders that I've found. There are a variety out there, so find what works for you. So that is going in here. If you want to make it a little bit spicy, I definitely recommend tossing in some cayenne or even using fresh chilies. Fresh chilies would definitely be the way to go. Alright, so that is going to sit and just simmer for a while, really. And then we're going to add in the ginger and the garlic. And here I'm using about, I'd say half a teaspoon of each. Maybe a full teaspoon of the ginger. I'm a big fan of ginger. I like to get the spice from the ginger, more so than from actual chilies. Ginger just has such a nice warmth to it. All right. So I'm gonna let that cook for a while. And it should be ready when the mixture is nice and thick and you've got like the creamy sort of base, I guess. You've got a creamy curry. That's when you know it's more or less ready. So I'll set that aside. Just to show you guys what the end result looks like. You end up with something like this. Here is our curry. And this pot's a little bit big, just because I had to have the recipe, but you've got, this is what I mean in terms of creamy. And then to serve, you can serve it with naan, you can serve it with any type of starch of your preference. I like to serve it with rice, over some white rice. And that'll go right there, adding in some of that those nice juices right onto the rice. To top, definitely recommend some cilantro or some lime would work really great here too. So that is it for our recipe. Super simple. Tune in this Friday for one of Jen's videos and have a happy Tuesday. Take care.